All right, let's jump right in. We're going to talk about how artificial intelligence isn't just, influencing medical education. It's about to completely rebuild it from the ground up. We're looking at how we're going to train our future doctors and nurses in a world powered by AI.
And hey, don't just take it from me. This quote from Bernard Chang, Harvard's Dean for Medical Education, really hits home just how big of a deal this is. He calls it a paradigm shift that happens maybe once every few decades. We're not just talking about a new gadget. We're talking about a fundamental change in how everything is done. So what does that shift actually look like?
Well, to really get it, you have to look at the problems we've been facing. For years, medical school has been this fire hose of information, right? The quality of teaching can vary, and it's often a one-size-fits-all passive experience. But AI flips the script. It promises a world of personalized, active learning, where every single student can get what they need exactly when they need it. It's a huge gap, and AI is stepping right in to fill it.
So how's this all happening? Let's take a look inside the new AI-powered classroom and see the toolkit that our future doctors are already getting their hands on.
And this isn't some far-off futuristic dream. This is happening right now. A recent study from Al Faisal University found that about 94% of medical students are already familiar with AI tools like ChatGPT. I mean, think about that. A huge majority aren't just aware of it, they're actively using it. The adoption rate has been absolutely explosive.
And it's not just one tool, right? It's a whole ecosystem. We're seeing intelligent tutoring systems that are available 24/7, AI that helps analyze diagnostic images, and even personalized study plans. But there are a couple of these that I really want to zoom in on because they are total game changers.
First up is this thing called ambient listening. Picture this. A doctor is just having a normal conversation with a patient. In the background, an AI is listening, not to judge, but to help. It automatically types up all the clinical notes in real time. This is huge. It frees the doctor from that soul-crushing paperwork so they can actually focus on the human being in front of them. It's not just an efficiency tool, it's a burnout prevention tool.
The second game changer is the AI-powered virtual patient. This is like a flight simulator for difficult conversations. A med student can practice things like breaking bad news or calming down an anxious family member with an AI that responds just like a real person would. They can try, fail, and try again in a totally safe space. It's an incredible way to build those crucial communication skills without any real-world risk.
Now you might be wondering, is this all just hype? And that's a fair question. The thing is, we know these tools are effective because of really tough, evidence-based research. To find out what really works, scientists use a process like this one. It's called a Prisma flow diagram. It's a way to systematically sift through thousands of studies to find the handful that are actually high quality. So the point is, the benefits we're talking about aren't just stories. They're being built on a solid scientific foundation.
But just like with any powerful new medicine, you have to talk about the serious side effects. And believe me, bringing AI into medicine comes with some major risks and tough ethical questions that we absolutely have to get right.
And these risks are no joke. You've got algorithmic bias. If an AI is trained on biased data, it can make biased and, frankly, dangerous recommendations. You have massive data privacy concerns. Then there's this really interesting one called cognitive offloading, which we'll get to in a second. And finally, accountability. If an AI gets it wrong, who's on the hook? The developer, the hospital, the doctor? These are thorny, complicated problems.
This quote right here just nails that risk of cognitive offloading. It's the very real fear that students could become so dependent on AI that they just stop thinking for themselves. They might outsource their thinking, as the quote says, and end up with a shallow understanding of medicine. They could lose the very skills they need to solve complex problems when the AI isn't there to help.
And the list of challenges goes on. I mean, this technology is expensive, which could create a world of haves and have-nots among medical schools. There's also the risk of losing that subtle, human-to-human mentorship that is so important in medicine. And let's not forget, medical knowledge changes fast. Keeping these AI models up to date is a huge undertaking in itself.
So what's the solution? How do we get all the good stuff while avoiding the bad? Well, it's not about choosing between humans and machines. The answer is all about keeping the human in the loop, making them work together.
And this right here might be the single most important idea in this whole discussion.
The goal of AI is to augment human judgment, not to replace it. The AI can be an amazing co-pilot. It can analyze data, spot patterns, and offer suggestions. But the final call, the ultimate decision, must always be made by a qualified human professional.
This new model for supervision shows you how it could work. First, the AI gives a student instant, data-driven feedback on their performance. But then, and this is the crucial part, a human professor steps in. They provide the nuance, the context, the feedback on the why behind a student's reasoning. The student gets the best of both worlds, and then they have to reflect on it all to really build that awareness of their own thinking.
Okay, so if you change how you teach, you have to completely blow up how you test. In a world where every student has a supercomputer in their pocket, a classic multiple-choice exam just doesn't make sense anymore. It becomes obsolete.
So, the solution is to stop focusing on just the right answer and start assessing the entire process. We need to see how a student got there. How did they tackle the problem? How did they use AI as a tool? Can they stand up and defend their decisions? The assessment is now about the journey, not just the destination.
This leads to some pretty cool AI-resistant ways of testing. Things you just can't cheat on with a machine. We're talking about oral defenses where students have to think on their feet, collaborative projects that require real teamwork, and one of my favorites, reflective portfolios where students have to document their learning and critically analyze the AI's input. These things test skills that AI just can't fake.
So where does all of this leave us? Let's zoom out for a second and look at what this all means for the future. Not just for education, but for healthcare itself.
In the end, it all boils down to this one fundamental question. We know AI is going to become an indispensable partner for every doctor. The challenge for all of us is how do we make sure it enhances and doesn't replace the uniquely human art of medicine, the empathy, the connection, the judgment. Finding that balance, well, that's the great opportunity and the great test of our time.